You ready?
We're rolling.
So I got Prussian blue acrylic paint, and I'm gonna mix it with raw umber. Kind of get a tone on my canvas. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of get that a little bit moist and wet. Get a little bit of my brush. Just kind of do a fast mixture. Get like a gray, kind of a grayish tone, just to kind of knock back the white of the canvas. Because I won't cover the entire canvas with my oil paints once I start to get into it. So some of this will seep through, kind of a neutral color. This is the funnest part about the painting. I don't have to think, just putting stuff up there. Gotta envy those abstract guys. For sure. Okay, just a little bit more. We should call it good. There, wish I could sign that. Get it framed. But that's the first stage. It's the first step in this whole masterpiece process. So, yeah. 15 minutes max. And we can start drawing on the image. Yeah, I kind of just wanted to show you a little bit of my setup here. It's pretty basic. Really don't need a whole lot of room to paint. I usually try to paint on my linen canvas just because I think it's a little bit more woven tighter. It's just tougher. It's better than the cotton duck canvas. I've got my warm colors and then I've got my cooler colors here. It's predominantly warm palette. I don't know why. That's just the color. Over time, your palette changes, and you might add a purple, you might add a different type of red or blue. It just depends. But I've been with this palette for probably about 3 years, and it's working pretty good. So just so everybody knows, it's oil. It's all oil painting. We'll go with the titanium white. Got to buy the big tube because I use too much of this stuff. Okay, and then I use a lemon yellow. It's my favorite type of yellow just because it's great for skin tones, but it's also great for, I use my yellow in trees. I use it in my clouds. Then I have a yellow ochre, like that. This is also great for skin tones. Use that quite a bit. And then a medium orange hue. I use that a lot in my reflective light on skin tones. It's pretty orange. Then I use a cad red for a lot of different things. I use cad red almost as much as I use my titanium white. Skin tones, to get certain purples. What's going on there? I'll have to look at that later. Okay. And then I'll use a deeper kind of a red called alizarin crimson. This color right here. This is to get shadows, especially cast shadows on the ground. They also make good purples. And then my darkest warm color, raw sienna. Where did I put that? I'm sorry, raw umber, not raw sienna. It's a really, really dark brown. Again, it's good for shadows and just getting dark darks. I mix it with blues to get blacks. And the hair, eyeballs, things like that, And then we'll go on to the cooler colors. Let's see here. So here's that Prussian blue again. It's just an oil. So again, for my dark colors, shadows and hair and eyeballs, things like that. And then my favorite color is this one here. It's called cerulean blue. This goes in everything. It helps keeps colors neutral to where they're not too warm, and it's great for the sky. It's great for putting in clouds. It's great for beadwork. I use it in my turquoise a lot. So yeah, that's as versatile as you can get. And then is Viridian green. And green is probably the color I use least for whatever reason, but when I do landscapes, it's great for trees, shrubbery, and things like that. Yeah, so those are my 10 colors. So these little jars here, and this one here, I got it's a blending medium. They call it just a glazing and blended medium. What it's for is I like it because so I'll mix it with my paints as I'm painting, and what it does is it slows the drying time. I mean, oil takes time to dry anyway. I like it because so when I'm finished at the end of the day, it helps keep the paint wet, so that I can return the next day and it's still wet, and it's just great for blending. I can't do the acrylic thing with it drying and then coming back to it. And that's a big reason why I prefer oils. But it's a great medium to have, and it stinks though. You gotta have some good ventilation. So that's that. And then in this jar I have walnut oil. It's to make the oil paints a little bit more oily, but I also can kind of clean with it too. So I got a little bit of a dirty brush here. So just kind of do that, and then swipe it with my towel here. And that, I mean, you can cook with this stuff. It's pretty healthy. When you got kids, you got to try to improvise and try to work with healthier substances and things like that. But okay, so paper towels. I like paper towels because it's just easy. Some people use washcloths or something like that. Just use it up. This will be completely colored probably. Just throw it out. Get a new one. It's pretty easy. Obviously, got to have good light source. It's pretty good in here. Getting a little bit of north light. But yeah, I think I'm almost ready for that. It looks pretty dry to me. So I use a number 6. This is obviously to get bigger, to cover more areas a little bit faster. And then I use a number 4. And then a number 2 for detail, smaller brushes. So I brought 2 number 4s with me just because one's a newer brush. Newer brushes, you get better brush strokes. I just like to keep my brushes newer. They'll definitely thin out over time. So my older brushes that's what I'll use with the drawing. The way I approach my painting is it's not painting. It's you're drawing with a brush. You're drawing with color. And I mean, I figure, if you draw with a brush, it helps you with your brush strokes as you're painting. Some people will use pencil or charcoal, and that's fine. Whatever works for you. I mean, I don't know. I'd rather, as a painter, I want to draw with a brush. Get a little bit of oil in there. I was painting yesterday, so I got a little bit of white paint in there. That's all right though. Okay, so I've got my photo reference here, canvas, and good lighting, good, ready to go. Yep, so we'll use, I think this is the best shot right here, compositionally. It's the best I have. I took 30 photos the other night. I like the look on mom's face here. Daughter's face looks pretty good. I use probably about 5 or 6 different photographs and incorporate them all into, see, that's a painting right there in itself. I like that look right there. Hands and the turquoise and the Pendleton blanket in the back. So we'll definitely be using this a little bit later on. So I'll just start with those 2. Get too many photos involved in the beginning, it gets overwhelming. But yeah, that's going to be the painting right there. The models in the painting will be my mother and my daughter, 10-year-old daughter. They were gracious enough to pose and model and get them dressed up and looking pretty. So hopefully Mom doesn't get too mad on how I paint her, the way she looks. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to use shapes. I'm thinking shapes the whole way. I'm not thinking likeness or detail. I'm trying to figure out how I can get this on canvas in a way that's going to be interesting to the eye, and in a way that it kind of flows, that everything in the painting will relate. Start out with Mom. So I'm just going to kind of make some marks. So the hands will probably be in the middle, right up in here. Kind of want to mark that. And then top of her head will probably be right up in here. Okay. If I'm seeing this right, daughter's head will be right here. And her body will kind of come down in this sitting position. Feet right about there. Okay, you want to do shoulders. Move on to the arms. Okay. Come up just a little bit more. Okay. Come down here. Her waist area. And then kind of her knee, extension of her knee. So right here, I'm looking for angles. So from her knee to her forehead, I might just put a little bit of a line right there. Go back here a little bit. Okay, Mom's hands about here, arms about here. Come here. So yeah, a good way to kind of, I mean, drawing is nothing more than just measuring. That's all it really is. So Mom's arm will go here. And it looks like it's, so I'll look at my photo and her hands are right underneath, they stop right where underneath her chin would be. So that's a good indication right there of where that'll be. And then we'll go shoulder to shoulder. There's her back. So a little bit of her blanket here. This just gets pretty tedious sometimes. You can just prevent so many mistakes from happening later on in the painting by getting a good drawing and composition laid out. That way you can kind of just rely on what you put down on the canvas. So she's kind of looking down a little bit. I might just draw a line like that just to kind of get that in more proportion. See, I'm not even looking at jewelry. I'm not even looking at blanket designs or anything like that yet. Just can't do that right now. Okay. So I must say I did take some life drawing classes in college. Taking a few workshops here and there. And they do help. They do help knowing muscle anatomy, bone structure, things like that. Wouldn't be a bad idea to get back into that. Stay fresh. Can never be too fresh as an artist. It's kind of like hitting the gym. You don't stop going once you're in shape, right? Got to keep those skills up to par. It's easy to get out of shape. My weakness is tacos. Gotta have my tacos. Then I'm mad the next day because I'm 5 pounds heavier. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just get Grandma in here. She's gonna get mad at me for saying Grandma. My mom. As you can see, I'm getting a little bit more detailed now. And this, again, it helps just, more than anything, it's just with measuring. So I might even just throw in a little bit of where that necklace is going to be. The thing I love about this type of painting is you can change invariably along the way. I mean, when I take photos, when I take photos of my models and have these setups, I try to get it as close as possible to how I'm gonna paint it, but it never turns out that way. It just doesn't. I'll change faces. I'll change, different designs and blankets. I'll add turquoise. I'll take away turquoise, and I just never really believe that you should paint or sculpt or create something exactly the way you see it, or if it's in a photograph, because it takes the art out of things, I think art should be something that's improvised and something that you just you see something and then you put it down and you portray it the way you think it should be shown or exposed. And when that happens, that's the true artist that comes out in somebody. And that's what people want to see. So what I'm saying is, Mom, I don't think this is going to look exactly like you. But that's okay. Because the important thing is that just come out with a good solid painting. Okay, so I've kind of got Mom in there. So what we're looking at is, so her body is obviously underneath, this blanket, or at least her legs are. So this is where anatomy comes in, a little bit of knowledge of anatomy. All right. So if I were to do this, I'm looking at it in a bone structure sense. I'm thinking about her spine would probably come down right here, tailbone here, come down with her thigh bone about there. I'm going to say it's going to hit right where her chin is. Okay, then her knee would be right there. So from your, your hip to your knee to your heel is the same distance. So I'm talking like this. That's about the same distance right there. And then her foot would come out. You can see a little bit of her feet in her moccasin. About right there. It's not too bad. Get her other foot in there. Something like that. And so more than anything, this is just a guide. It'll definitely change once I start getting into adding color and painting it. Put in a little bit of that Pendleton blanket on the bottom here. And then at this point, I'm not worried about the background either. They're going to be inside of a hogan, but that's going to come later. And kind of have a Pendleton blanket back there, kind of as a prop. I don't know if it'll go right there. Maybe I'll just kind of throw in something just to kind of, I don't know, get a little bit interesting. Maybe it might be a Navajo rug or something. But I'll probably, it'll be a lighter blanket so that it can give contrast to my daughter's face here, if that's where it's going to go. I don't know. I just kind of put that there for now. Okay. So let's get on those hands a little bit more. Okay, and daughter's hands will just drop a little bit lower here. I did a little whistle there. Sometimes I do that when I make brush strokes. I'm like, yeah, it's just I making an exception of not being able to listen to my music. Yeah, I got my headphones on, and I'm just the whole time, all day, 10 hours a day. Podcasts, I like podcasts. Those are usually fun to listen to. You would think that I'm so occupied, or my mind is preoccupied so much with painting, but there is a lot of silence. Sometimes I'll have my TV going on, just noise. I have a lot of Adam Sandler movies coming on when I paint.
Tell us more about your work. You said you work 10 hours a day. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, well, sometimes it can get up to 10 hours a day. Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of discipline. Because I mean, I could take a couple weeks off, and not get fired, but it puts me behind. And I'll have to do some major catching up. So basically a daily routine for me. I don't have kind of a normal life. It's just different being self-employed and doing what I do. Only an artist can really relate. So it's getting up in the morning with the kids, getting them fed off to school, all that stuff. I'll come home, get a little bit of breakfast. I'll run errands if I have to. And before I paint, I usually like to just kind of do some social media, look at some gossip and just kind of mess around on Instagram a little bit, Facebook a little bit. And then I'll kind of have like a meditative moment, I guess you can call it. I can't think of a better description. So I never can just dive into my painting. I can't just get up, get in the shower, get dressed, and I'm gonna go paint now. I have to. Sometimes I'll go on a drive. Sometimes I'll go on a quick run, or I'll just do some burpees. I mean, it's weird. I've grown up playing sports all my life, and just been involved in that. And it's almost like I have to kind of prepare mentally, like I'm going into a football game or something like that. In high school, we used to have this thing where in our locker room, the coaches would have us just be quiet for 30 minutes. And the guys would be just on the floor. They'd be sitting down, listening to music. They'd have a towel over their faces. And they're just thinking about the game, the plays, all that, What am I supposed to do on this play? And just kind of collect your thoughts, your feelings. So it's kind of the same thing with painting, I have to kind of get pumped up for that. I have to prepare myself mentally. So before I came here today, I was telling these guys here that I had some Eminem going, Powerman 5000, and every day is different. I might put some country in. I've even delved into a little bit of classical music at times, just depending on the mood. But yeah, I'll get to work usually around maybe 10 o'clock. And yeah, just go full blast. I'll take breaks here and there. I've got contacts. I can only wear them for so many hours a day. Sometimes I'll just wear my glasses and work. But if I don't stand up every once in a while and do something else, maybe it's just ADD. I don't know. I could probably get diagnosed with ADD if I went in. But I've got to get up and walk around. I'll text friends. I'll get back on social media again. And then after 15 minutes of a break, I can get back and it's no problem for me. But my eyes will actually kind of start getting... I'll go cross-eyed if I look at my painting for too long. I'll have to step away. And that's another thing too. Those trying to learn how to paint. so imperative that you learn to step away from your work. No matter what you're doing, jewelry, sculpture, beadwork, you gotta step away from it. Look at it from a distance. Judge your painting from there. I guarantee you will see mistakes. Okay, so we kind of have a composition here going. I'm already worrying about what's going to go in the background, and I shouldn't. Okay. All right, let's finish up where the blanket's going to come up here, and Mom, come down here. Yeah, I avoided drawing the hands because hands are scary to draw. Hands and feet are tough. You draw faces and paint people all day. Mess up the hands. Yeah, I'm actually going to have... Okay, so Grandma here is handing her granddaughter a piece of a squash blossom necklace, kind of like an heirloom. I want to make that squash blossom kind of hang down a little bit, kind of, and put a small indication of it like that. There you go. I think that might work. Okay, so we're getting close to the end of kind of roughing this in real quick. Okay, so yeah, that's basically what I had in mind. I might add in a sheepskin actually right underneath the Pendleton. I think if I'm more comfortable with doing something like that. Yeah, so this will just kind of be sheepskin right here. Kind of make it a little messy and then kind of come up here a little bit. Wrap around. Maybe we'll let it go off this way. That might be too big, I don't know. Kind of a foundational look to it, you know? Like a base for a sculpture. Yeah, I think I like that. I did good adding in that sheepskin. Okay. All right, so at this point, I need to go do some push-ups. Just kidding. Okay. You like that? Does it look all right? Okay. All right, so what we'll do at this point is we'll play some Aussie. Okay, we're gonna get a little more detailed with the drawing. I think I'm ready to start adding facial features, folds, and the shirt blankets. Yeah, I think it's time we'll go ahead and start doing that. Okay, deep breath. Just gets a little tedious. I mean, this is when you need Eminem. Seriously. I know he cusses a lot, but the energy that he puts out there, man. I promised myself I would stop listening to rap music when I turned 40 this year. Kind of made a vow to myself that I would grow up when I hit 40. I hope that's going to happen. But then I'm like, what am I going to listen to? Okay, so when you paint faces, your portraits and stuff, just gotta a good place to start, like a profile, for example. A good place to start is to go with the hairline. Get that hairline in there. Kind of this area right here. Because it really shapes, it helps shapes the head, but it also, you know, gauges where I'm going to put the eyes and the nose and the mouth and the ear and just, you know, the rest of the facial features. You can kind of figure out where the jaw ends and begins and the chin and all that. And then put this C8 right here. Kind of make a little bit of indication in the bottom bun there. So you can kind of see her face kind of coming together. Not really sure that I like. Oh, shouldn't be using my fingers with the oil paint. Erasing. Yeah, I erase sometimes. That's why I envy my dad in his stone carving so much. You can't. It's an unforgiving medium. You make a mistake, man. You got to work with it. I tried stone carving at 19, fresh out of, well, I didn't really finish college, but I did what I did there, took some art classes and learned a lot. It was good, but I had no idea what I wanted to do as far as what medium I wanted to work in. So yeah, did my first stone piece, and man, it was so ugly. It was terrible.
What'd your dad say when he saw it?
But he didn't say anything. I don't even think he looked at it really. But I remember I sold it though to this guy for $35. I don't know. At the time, I could probably fill up on gas. $35. I think that's probably what I did. Just put in some gas. But anyway, yeah. So I just, sometimes, for those of you out there who are pursuing art careers, you have to do it, and then going off of just intuitively, like, does it feel right? Like, is this something I feel like I can do every single day? Is this something I can put in hours and hours and hours and just, have the same motivation and drive to do it the next day and the next day and the next day? You gotta be able to have that feeling. I didn't have that with sculpture. I just didn't do it. I didn't have it for whatever reason. Sometimes I think my dad he's a little offended that I didn't choose the same thing he did, but after seeing my paintings, I think he understood. And I think no matter what we do, acting, singing, dancing, writing, I think you just the reason why people are so good at what they do is because they have a passion. It's about passion. Okay.
Where does that passion come from?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, you find something and it's like, I gotta do it. I used to be passionate about going out on weekends and going to keg parties and stuff like that. used to do that a little bit of that lifestyle back in high school and college, and then there came a point once I really started to paint and draw, I just kind of stopped going out. And Friday nights, I'm in my studio working instead of being out with everybody. I don't know. To me, that's passion right there. If you're willing to give up something that's fun. I don't know. Maybe that's not the best example, but kind of helped me steer away from doing certain things that I probably shouldn't have been doing at the time. Okay, so yeah, we're getting a little bit more detailed with the face. So with the profile right here, the bottom of the nose is going to line up with the bottom of the ear. So kind of like that at the angle at least. So that's a good indication, so I can almost just draw a line across that. Gonna throw that ear in there. Don't want to make mom's ear too big. Can it come here? Okay, Let's get a little bit of her neck in there. And her shoulder come here. So what I'll do is I'll start making darker accent marks just to kind of indicate that that's where, you know, the shoulder ends. This is where this fold's gonna go, and it's a little bit more precise. Okay. It's a little bit of an accent there. And then this left shoulder is kind of just gonna drop here. Down. Boom. That's another thing too, I say boom a lot. So I think right up in here we'll do a little kind of a turquoise pin. And then I think I'm gonna make this coral necklace here turquoise instead, maybe. It's kind of what's going through my mind right now. Right arm is gonna drop here. Kind of gotta figure out where that's gonna end, and then her forearm is gonna begin. I think we were just about right the first time. So you can kind of see those little accents that I'm making. Like that's kind of one right there. Okay, and then there's a couple of folds right here. We'll get the back side of her arm, underneath her arm there. Kind of come in. Now sometimes when you use photos, you can't really, it's not defined. And you kind of want to add in a little bit of like where the elbow would be. And sometimes it'll just look like it's straight, but no. It's, her arm's bent a little bit. So you want to add that elbow in there, make that turn a little bit. Let's see here. More paint. Okay. So we got underneath the arm here. We'll get make this blanket kind of come through the side here. Yeah, I came out a little too far with that. It's all right. I don't like to admit mistakes, but sometimes I have to with painting. Gotta stay humble. Admit your faults sometimes. There you go. Okay, we were way off on that little fold right here on the blanket. It's all right. Kind of come down right here. Just want to make sure this blanket is positioned right before I go any further on her. Okay. All right. So I think the necklace will kind of end here, and her arm kind of come here. So fold in the kind of where that'll go here. A little bit of separation here. Gonna see that. I grew up in the Shiprock, New Mexico area. And then when I was 10, Mom and Dad moved us to Kirtland, New Mexico, which was just a small town up the road, actually. Maybe 20 miles up the road, just off the res. And that's where most of my memories as a child growing up was. Nice little town. Dad started to hit it big. Right, probably I was 10, I think, when we moved there. I just remember Dad kind of getting a little famous. So he started having a lot of success with his art. You know, I mean, the supplies were there, the tools were there, Dad was there, but I don't think I ever really had a desire to become an artist growing up, actually. But he did have a studio built behind our house, so you could just walk. And you know, me and my brothers, sisters, I'm the oldest of 6, actually, big Mormon family. We, you know, we're all exposed to Dad and his talents. Mom was super supportive, and it worked out. Yeah, so in high school, I mean, I felt like I could draw. Like I was always, kind of good at drawing, and I enjoyed doing it. And I would make little drawings for some of my friends. I drew different things like bats and superheroes, Spider-Man. Took art classes, and I think mostly just to kind of please Dad. Maybe there's some indication that Hyrum wanted to actually pursue a career too, follow Dad's footsteps. But I wasn't serious. I wasn't serious. I probably averaged about a C+ in art. Just wasn't serious. Anyway, after high school, I went to Mesa Community College with a buddy of mine, and it turned out that they had a great art program there. So I thought, all right, let's do Drawing 101. And it was all charcoal and pencil, all black and white. Very, very, very basic class. But man, I learned so much. I learned so much in that class. Holy cow. I felt like I had the best teacher ever. And then after the first semester there, I think I got a B- for the semester. But I knew I could do better. And my instructor was pretty intense there. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to become an artist, is because he pushed and pushed and pushed. But he was also very, very encouraging to me. He kind of picked out, there was about 3 students in our class that he felt that they were, or that we were ready, that we had, potential, and he would point that out. So he kind of, I don't know. I'm gonna say that he kind of favored us students a little bit over the others. And one of the things that he told me was, Hyrum, you'd be an idiot if you didn't pursue this as a career. And I didn't know whether to take that as a compliment or not back then, but I knew what he was saying. He called me an idiot, though. Call me an idiot. But yeah, so I said, okay, yeah, I think I know what he's saying, and maybe I ought to pursue something. Of course, I knew I had all the resources with Dad, and I had everything, all the help that I could ever get becoming an artist if I wanted to do that. I really, really wanted to become a high school history teacher and a high school football coach. That was kind of my passion. But when I saw what you could do with the art, when I saw what my dad could do with art, just the idea of working for yourself kind of was, appealing. It was really appealing. Okay. I think I like where that's going. For the most part, I think we're there animatically wise. Gonna finish up on the blanket here, and then we'll jump onto the little girl. So I finished up there. I left school after 2 years. Partly, and this was huge for me. This was kind of an instrumental turning point. After 2 years, I had a long conversation with Dad. He recommended that I come back to New Mexico. After being in Arizona for a couple years. Said, come back. If you're going to do this, you're going to paint Indians, you're going to paint Navajo people, your people. Well, we're not in Phoenix. We're here. And you need to be where your source is at. So I thought, okay, yeah, that sounds good. I didn't want to leave. I was working at the Black Angus Steakhouse, making good tips there. But I had to leave that, and my life here. Went back and set up in my dad's studio as a 20-year-old. think I was 20. And went out and bought about $500 worth of supplies. Set up in Dad's little back room there that he had, and just went to work. And Dad's biggest thing was you gotta find some identity. He says, yeah, you can draw and paint, but you don't know what to paint. So you gotta find an identity. You gotta let people know what you're about. So being on the back near the res, I started painting. No kids, no wife, no money. Gotta do what I gotta do. So I did. I remember. Let's see. It goes across. Okay. I remember getting ready for a show. I don't remember. It was either in Albuquerque or somewhere around there, the area. It's a Native American art show. I remember a buddy of mine who was also a sculptor, my dad, was up and coming, and we decided to kind of buddy up and help each other with travel expenses, going to these shows. And I kind of like to look at it as, or compare it to the movie 8 Seconds, where, you know, Lane Frost kind of buddies up with a couple of his friends, and they go off and beat up ride, and but they're hitting rodeos, trying to win and, you know, get money here and there, earn a little bit of money here and there. That's kind of how it was. It was intense because, you know, you didn't know if you could even have enough money to have a place to stay or eat. But I knew I had to struggle a little bit. I knew that it wasn't gonna just come. I didn't want Dad to be there too much for me, although he's been super supportive even today. But I think that's when I really learned to kind of be independent. I did sleep in my car, I think, a time or two. And just had to eat sunflower seeds and Gatorade. Yeah, there were some tough times, man. There were some tough times there. But so I did my first show, and I think I had like 6 or 7 paintings. Actually, they were just drawings at the time. I did black and white drawings in the very beginning of my career. That's because that's what I was doing. I had an opportunity to meet with painter Howard Turpning once at a show in Phoenix, and I think I had like 4 paintings, or I'm sorry, drawings. I keep saying paintings. And I was like, hey, yeah, I was wondering if you had some time, only if you had time to come and look at them, you know, and critique them if you can, you know. And he was so gracious, so nice. He came down from the hotel room, and he spent about 20 minutes with me. And he had some good things to say. He was encouraging. But one thing he really, really stressed that I'll never forget, that's so crucial as a painter, is learn how to draw first before you learn how to paint. And I took that to heart. I knew exactly what he was talking about. So with drawing and learning your values, it'll make color mixing a lot easier. And you know, I value that advice, and I give that advice to other. Put a little bit of a design in there just to kind of make sure this is in good placement here. So that's what I was doing. That's probably the reason why I started out drawing. Just drawing was just so I can get better at painting. So we did this show, and I sold 2 drawings. I sold 2 drawings at the end of the show, or by the end of the show. I think I came home with like $600. It was the best thing ever. And my buddy made some cash too. He sold a couple of his sculptures, and we feasted, man. We went out to eat. I think we went to Sizzlers.
Who was your buddy?
His name's Tony Begay. Tony Begay, stone carver. We don't do that no more. We grew up a little bit and had a little bit more success on the way. I don't have to sleep in my car anymore. Okay, so you can see kind of the darker lines that I made. I'm making them now. Okay, kind of just I just like to do that just so I know I don't get confused. Like that's obsolete. I don't need to go there. Okay. Let's get her feet in there. Yeah, they look right about there. Yeah, so to kind of continue my little story here. I won my first award at the Red Rock Arts and Crafts Show. I think that's what it's called. Not sure if it's still going on. But I got a second place for an oil painting there. Second place. And artist by the name of Joe Cajero. He's a Jemez sculptor. Good guy. I think he gave me second place. He was one of the judges. I think I got like $75 for that. So that was encouraging. Tried to enter a lot of competitions early in my career. They're just kind of fun. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you do okay, sometimes you win. Doesn't matter. Then I met my first wife, and we married and started having kids, and I think that's when I really upped my effort, my game in painting. Thought, oh man, I got this little kid, got support. So we made a studio in our garage there. Had a good setup there. It's fun. I believe the first year I was married. All right, let's worry about that later. Okay. I think mom's head is okay. Yeah, you can just kind of fill that in with her hair. Okay. All right, let's move on to the girl. Let's see. Yeah, my first year being married, I entered a poster competition, Farmington, New Mexico, at an art show called Total Festival. That was, I can't remember what year that was. I think it was 2004, something like that. No, that was 2002. Sorry. Yeah, 2002. Brand new at this whole art thing. I have no clue what I'm doing, but I entered this competition, and then I get a call about 2 weeks later, and it's somebody from the show saying that I had won the competition. Ooh. So already, like, it was the best thing. And I got to be the featured artist that year. Made the front page of the Daily Times newspaper. That was kind of cool. Kind of, being around town, Walmart or whatever, just different places, and people kind of looking your way twice. Hey, there's that guy in the newspaper. So that was kind of fun. But we did the show and we did really well. The poster paintings sold. Like I said, we got to be the featured artist, and I believe we sold 4 paintings there in Farmington, and that was my big boost, I think, in my career. Good old Farmington, New Mexico gave me that opportunity. So I think, let's see, from there, I just kept painting, kept learning. See here, I'm going to do that hairline thing. Yeah, so you want to make sure that the daughter's head isn't bigger than grandma's head. She's only 10 years old. So you got to make sure that that's happening right there. Okay. So I think from that point, I just kept doing shows, wherever there was an Indian art show. I did Gathering of Nations show, that big old tent outside UNM, the Lobo Stadium there. I don't know if it's called Lobo Stadium, but where the powwow is at. I did that for a few years. Did okay there. And one thing I always wanted to have was I wanted to have a gallery. I wanted to have gallery representation. That was one of my biggest goals at that point. But I was scared. I didn't know how to approach a gallery. Talked to Dad about it, talked to artist friends about it. But I just, I didn't know. I just didn't think I was good enough. I think that's what it was. I was just scared of rejection. And so after a few months, I decided that I gotta stop wussing out, and I gotta make it happen. So I subscribed to, at the time it was Southwest Art Magazine, and they were coming in every month. And what it did for me was it really helped me to kind of keep up with who's who and who's doing the best work out there. I kind of wanted to make sure that it was like competition. I had to know what competition was doing, all right? Because I didn't want to just be in a box thinking that that I'm just this great painter. But it was humbling at the same time too to know that people were so much better than me and I had a long ways to go. It made me want to work harder. So anyway, going through these magazines, I had a whole bunch of them just on a bookshelf, and it was late one night. I was painting. Family was asleep, and I decided, I'm gonna flip through this magazine or a couple of these magazines, and I am going to approach or at least choose the gallery that I see with the most ads promoting artists. So I did that. One gallery stuck out to me, and that gallery was Blue Rain Gallery. And I thought, okay, well, they're based out of Taos. They started out in Taos, I believe. Leroy Garcia is the owner, and he's gonna chew me out if I get any of these facts wrong. But I decided let's go with that. So we packed up. I had, I think, 3 originals with me. I said, okay, we're going to Taos. And we loaded up the paintings and everything else, and we hit the road. Taos, New Mexico. This would have been probably the summer of 2004. Try to get that shoulder right there. It looks kind of weird. What am I doing wrong? Okay, there we go. So we made the haul there. So nervous, so scared. This 24-year-old kid trying to make it in the art business. And I show up, and a guy working there by the name of Peter, still works there. Overly friendly guy. And I introduced myself and brought a little portfolio in, just some photographs of past work. He looked through them. Said ultimately, this is gonna, it's gonna be up to the owner. But he'll be in a few minutes. So I kind of looked around the gallery a little bit and just looking at different work. And I thought, God, I was looking at prices. I was seeing $3,500. I was seeing $8,000. I think I even saw a painting in there for 20-something thousand. I was just thinking, oh my gosh, what? Oh, so I'm kind of regretting going in there. I'm like, man, I don't have a chance, because my work is not even barely like maybe 3,000 for my biggest piece. Everything else is, $400 to, to that price range. But anyway, so finally the guy comes in, the owner, really nice guy. Says, Hyrum, how serious are you about this? I was like, well, you know what? I can't sleep because I'm thinking about painting. I've got to paint. I've got to do this. Dad's an artist. He grew up in the family. Said, your name's Hyrum. You Mormon? So yeah. Yep. Turns out he was Mormon too. So that was kind of fun. So we looked through my portfolio, so we hit that arm just at the right spot. I'm telling you, this measuring stuff pays off, guys. You gotta learn how to draw. Boom. So long story short, he tells me this, Hyrum, I think you're a good risk. It was better than the idiot compliment, but I took it and I said, you know what? I have no room to speak here. These guys are in charge. I'll take it. So we shook hands. That was our contract. And okay, give me just a second here. This part's gonna be tedious. Hands, I'm telling you, hands. You gotta take extra time out. So many bones and just different kind of muscles, and then sizes and fingers and feet. Okay. All right, so that's gonna come here. See, the worst thing you can do is just have a big hand on a kid, or one eyeball higher than the other one. I mean, I get it, with the abstract modern stuff, that makes sense with those kind of paintings, but for what I'm doing here, realistically. Okay. So when I'm stepping back just a little bit, those arms actually look a little short, but I'm okay with that because they should be right underneath the grandmas, so I'm okay with that. Okay. So he accepts me into the gallery. I'm like, oh my gosh! I go out and tell my wife. She's excited. I think we celebrated with tacos or something after that. I can't remember. And I believe I left a painting there. At least one painting there with them. Put it on consignment. And then we drove to Albuquerque, and lo and behold, we do actually attend the Gallery of Nations powwow. My son and I used to dance a while back, and then we even got my dad involved. So it was like 3 generations that danced.
What'd you dance?
At one point, we did local powwows near the Farmington area.
Like traditional? Or?
Oh, the style?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was all Northern Plains traditional. So we had roaches and bustles. Yeah, those were the days, and I do want to get back to it. I will watch soon. Yeah, so we hit the powwow that year. It's busy though. They get busy. The more kids you have, the less powwow you want to do. At least that was the way it was with us. All right. So I was in a gallery after several years of just dreaming to be in one. So people ask me sometimes, aspiring artists, how do you get into a gallery? How would you go about approaching them? I would say don't even bother calling. Galleries are so busy. They're so preoccupied with everything else going on with putting together shows. I would say the best thing, you want to be respectful too, but I would say the best thing to do is just show up. And if the gallery is far from where you live, maybe sending images wouldn't be too bad of a thing, but I would say just show up if you can. Put your paintings in the car. Show the images on your phone. If they want to see more, go get them. Bring them inside. It's always best to be in person. That way, they're less inclined to reject you. It's just the way it is. It's just like anything else. Bring your demo tape in. Right? Okay, at this point, Sienna's looking pretty good. As far as the size of her body and how she fits. And then contrast it with her grandma. We'll go ahead and put in her little bun here. Something like that. And then we'll come like this, and then Down with the yarn like that, something like that. There you go. Now she looks Navajo. Okay, I'm gonna scoot down on the dress. Make sure I hit those accents. Just gonna get a little more detailed as you go. Yeah, just it's okay at this point to put in little strokes of where the folds are at. Just make sure you keep stepping back or leaning back or whatever. Okay. Okay, her knee is too far, but I think that was just more of an indication. So it'll probably be about right there. Okay, and then again, so this dress is obviously covering a lot of her legs, so this is where your knowledge of anatomy comes in. Got to rely on that. So her leg will start to come out of her dress right underneath the forearm. There. Okay, I'll continue on with bragging about my career. So yes, got in the gallery, was awesome. About a month later, I get a call from the gallery. Hyrum, guess what? You'll never guess what happened. I just sold your painting. Oh my gosh. Heck yeah. Do you have any more? So it's always a good thing when the gallery is calling to ask you for more work because you sold. It's kind of the main goal of that whole process. So yeah, I was so excited. I was pumped. So at the time, I was getting ready for Santa Fe Indian Market. I'd been in the show for this would have been my second year doing the show. Santa Fe Indian Market is gold. It's always usually really good for me there, and I know that hundreds of other artists can attest to that as well. I don't know why. Just Santa Fe brings in kinds of people. Santa Fe is just awesome. Okay, I'm gonna be quiet here just for a second too, because we're getting down to feet. I'm actually kind of glad that blanket's covering almost half the feet. That connects to there. Actually, it's a little too low, but that's okay because it separates Grandma's moccasin, and so you can see that. So that actually will be okay. It's okay though. I think it looks cute this way. Okay, so feet right underneath that as well. So we'll go with that big toe here. When you're drawing, it's always important to make sure that you're measuring. I know I mentioned that before, but sometimes something doesn't look right in a painting. It's probably a mistake in your drawing. Find out a lot of times that's why I make mistakes. Come across some painters sometimes and have some talks about art, and then I'll get well, I can't really draw, but I paint. No! You gotta learn how to draw. It's the foundation of becoming a good painter. Talk to Howard Turtman, I'll tell you. Okay, so we got almost the whole figures in there. I think that's coming out pretty good. Take a step back again. Now this looks funny right here just because it's a blanket it's a fold in the blanket. It's not, otherwise I'd make it look right, but here, once we put this little in there, here, we'll scroll up a little bit on this. There we go. I love how that's just gonna run off the canvas. I love how blankets and drapery on the ground just run off the canvas. I can't really explain why, but. Okay, so that blanket comes here, comes down here. Give it more of a foundational look. There's a pillow. Okay, now I think we're ready to put in a little bit of background. And that's about as detailed as I get with my drawing. I know some like to put little wrinkles and, the ear hole in there, but the thing about doing this is it's a drawing, but it's not a drawing. If it was just to be drawing, then yes, I'd go more detailed. But I think I get impatient, and I'm looking at my colors. I'm just like, I can't wait to get on you. I can't wait to start mixing and start seeing blues and reds and greens and yellows come to life. I'm gonna hit it in just a few more areas, and then I'll be ready to start painting. Actually, one thing that probably needs to happen now is, so you're thinking about the inside of a hogan, and you're thinking octagon, right? But you also want a nice angle, so it could be kind of like this. Well, actually, that's too low. So I'm thinking about the corners where the ground and the hogan meet. So you want to, and that's one thing too that I wanted to. So the background stuff, it helps to, when you put that in, go through your figures, then hit it again, go through them, and then kind of like that. That way, rather than just, because they won't match up, they won't line up. I guarantee you. I bet you $10 and 2 tacos on that one. See that? It's that way, it's like it matches up perfect. And so what I would do here, if this is where it's gonna go, I wouldn't want to put it right here because it aligns too much with that part. You never want anything to connect. You want, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the appropriate term. We taught this in school. See how this hits here? It hits your back. You want a lot of this going on, up and down. You never want to, like, I would never put anything like, let's see here. It's an example. I would never put anything like this because it just, it's aligned up too much with that. So like if I put a rug there, that's terrible. So if I put a rug, I want it here. Boom. See how I'm hitting that part? And I'm hitting their back. You have a lot of this going on. So maybe something to kind of keep in mind too. Same thing with mom here. If I was to do a rug here, come down, go through her body, and then straight out like that. You could do a window, whatever you want, but for time's sake, I think they'll probably be rugs. Maybe we won't do one there. See, you wouldn't even want one to align with her chin either. So you'd want to move that one up maybe a little bit. Come down. See, now it's just kind of, or you could come all the way over here, hit like right there. There's that right there too, but you can kind of improvise. But you get what I'm saying. Anyway, so something to kind of remember. Okay.